that's the way that you really kind of feather it. You don't want to put it on the spool. I feel like that's a harder way to do it. Come right up there even with the top of the spool and just put your finger out, and that is going to be a way to really slow the bait down and get it to land just exactly where you want it to. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And to wrap up our casting series, we're out here on the river and going to do a few tips kind of really on the spinning rod cast. I don't feel like it's as necessary to go through, 4, 5, 6 different casts like we did with the bait caster. A spinning rod is definitely a pretty user-friendly, setup, and something that people of all ages can be successful with. That's a great thing about a spinning rod. But even as a professional, it's something I personally use. I use a ton. It seems like every tournament I'm weighing in very important fish on a spinning rod. So a big thing with a spinning rod that I see a lot of people do is they have the wrong amount of line out. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's probably 14, 16 inches of line. If you're down there at 24 inches or so, that's too much. If you're up there at 6 inches, 6 or 8 inches, that's not enough to get, to really make that bait do what you want it to do for the most part. So that 12 to 14 inches, in my opinion, is kind of the magic number. A spinning rod is a really easy rod to cast, to skip. It's not like a bait caster. You're not going to get a backlash, so you can left hand, right hand, overhand, either way you want to skip that. There's really not much to be worried about. Some of the big things that I think, that really, as you get more dialed in with the spinning rod, some of the finer points really to learn. One is I always close the bail with my hand. So I'm going to open the bail up. Of course, I'm going to hold the line with my finger. I'm going to open the bail up, and then I'm going to make my cast. Okay. So now I made the cast way out there. I don't take the reel handle and engage the reel and start reeling. I always take my pointer finger, flip the bail back over, and then start reeling. You don't have as much slack in your reel when you do that. It's a way better start up to that cast if you do it that way. So always, that was a little smallmouth, chased it in. Always remember when you make that cast, just have your finger right here at the ready. And I'm going to show you another reason for that in just a second. Have your finger right there at the ready, flip that bail back over, kind of raise the rod tip, and then you're good to go. So now some of the finer, especially the fine details when it comes to really target casting with a spinning rod. And that's something I do a lot. If that's skipping under docks, around lay down logs, anything like that. I can place a wacky worm, a shaky head, a lot of those things about as well on a spinning rod as I can a bait caster. But with a bait caster, you've got your thumb on the spool. It's easy to slow the bait down to keep it from going beyond the target or hit the target or something like that. With the spinning rod, it takes a little bit more practice, and it becomes a deal where you make the cast and then you touch your finger to the side of the spool right there. So that's the last place that line is going to touch the spool. And I'm gonna just let my finger rest on that to where I can feel the line coming off. And that line, as it's coming around there, it's actually uncoiling. It's not tied against the spool. So just having your finger in here, it's going to hit the line. That's going to slow it down. The closer you put it to the spool, the more it's going to slow it down until you touch the spool. And of course, it's going to stop at that point in time. But that's the way that you really kind of feather it. You don't want to put it on the spool. I feel like that's a harder way to do it. Come right up there even with the top of the spool and just put your finger out and start closing it in towards the spool itself. And that is going to be a way to really slow the bait down and get it to land just exactly where you want it to. So, it's just like a bait caster. You want to give it more gas than it needs to make sure you're going to be able to get to your target. So, if I want to throw it way out there, then I can slow it down, as it's getting closer to my target. I always don't want to shortchange my cast. I want to give it plenty of gas to get it way out there, and then I can always slow it down as the need comes. And certainly if I see, I'm making a bad cast or something, my finger's there in place, if it gets going, I need to stop it. I can stop it real quick and and keep that bait from going too far and hitting something that I don't want to hit with it. That's a big thing. Just like thumbing a spool on a bait caster, it takes some practice. It takes some finger coordination and training, but with a little bit of practice, you'll be dialed in on just how to do that too. So hopefully this casting series has been good for you all. It's been a lot of fun for us, and I think it's been a good series to hopefully help you all become a better caster with the ultimate goal of catching more fish when you're out there on the water.